The clang of a padlock echoed across the morning hills. A gleaming steel gate now blocked the only road to our ranch. Behind it stood the HOA president and her crew, arms crossed like sheriffs in a movie. Grandpa adjusted his hat, said nothing, just smiled that slow, dangerous smile. 2 weeks later, that same road carried a brand new sign, private access, by permission only. The HOA folks drove past it every day, paying triple for the privilege. They never saw it coming. But it all began the moment that lock snapped shut on our land. Our ranch sat on the edge of a sleepy county, 200 acres of oak, creek, and history. My great-grandfather built the first barn there with timber he milled himself. The road that wound through those fields had always been ours, long before anyone thought of subdivisions or HOAs. Grandpa ran the place now, graybeard, tougher than barbed wire, still woke up before sunrise just to see the fog lift off the fields. He believed every fence post had a purpose and every neighbor deserved respect until they proved otherwise. Then came the HOA community, rows of perfect lawns and identical mailboxes planted right up to our boundary. At first, they waved politely. Then came the letters. The first one was friendly: "Please remove the old tractor near the property line, it detracts from the neighborhood's visual harmony." Grandpa chuckled, crumpled it, and used it to start the wood stove. But the letters kept coming: complaints about livestock smells, dust from our gravel road, even the rooster crowing at dawn. Finally, they sent a notice claiming shared access rights to the dirt road that connected our ranch to the highway. According to them, the road ran through community property. Grandpa squinted at the map, then at me. "That road's older than every house they built," he said. "If they think a letter changes that, they've got another thing coming." Still, he tried to be neighborly. He met the HOA president, Linda, at a community barbecue. She smiled too wide, talked too smooth. Her husband, Mark, a real estate lawyer, lingered nearby like a shadow. When Grandpa offered to show her the original deed, she said, "Oh, we'll handle it through our association's channels." That's when I knew trouble wasn't coming, it had already arrived. One Friday morning we came home to find construction workers at the end of our lane. A half-built metal gate stood across the road, fresh concrete drying around its posts. A big HOA sign read, "Private entry, residents only." Grandpa's truck screeched to a stop. He climbed out, boots crunching gravel. "Who gave permission for this?" he asked. "Talk to the HOA," the foreman said without looking up. Linda arrived minutes later in her SUV, sunglasses gleaming. "For community safety," she explained. "Too much non-resident traffic." "Non-resident?" Grandpa said, pointing toward the hills. "That road goes straight to my barn." She shrugged. "You can apply for an access pass." Grandpa's jaw clenched. "A pass to reach my own home?" When the sheriff came, even he looked uncomfortable. "They've got paperwork claiming partial easement rights," he said quietly. "Might want to check with the county." That night, Grandpa didn't eat supper. He sat at the table, the map spread out before him, tracing the old boundary lines with his finger. "They think that fence gives them power," he muttered. "Let's see what paper really does." The next day we visited the county recorder's office. The clerk rummaged through dusty drawers and pulled out a yellowed map from 1964. There it was, clear as daylight: the entire road, from highway to gate, sat on a strip still registered to our family trust. Somehow, the HOA had built their street extension without ever purchasing that land. Grandpa leaned back, a slow grin forming. "Well," he said, "looks like the road they're blocking isn't theirs to block." Grandpa never believed in shouting matches, he believed in preparation. Over the next few weeks he gathered every deed, survey, and tax record we could find. We learned that a small unpaid lien still existed on the HOA's main road, something they'd ignored for years. That lien meant the county could transfer the parcel to anyone willing to clear the debt and maintain the road. Grandpa's eyes lit up. "So, if I pay their bill, the road's yours," I finished. We didn't say a word to the HOA. Let them think the gate scared us off. Meanwhile, Grandpa met quietly with the county commissioner and wrote one check. A month later, he held a stamped deed granting ownership of the street leading straight into their pristine subdivision. During those weeks, the HOA kept firing letters, fines for excessive dust, threats about unauthorized livestock, even a complaint that our windmill was visually inconsistent. Grandpa tacked each notice onto the barn wall like trophies. One evening I asked, "When are you gonna tell them?" He smiled. "Timing's everything. You don't show your cards until the game's worth winning." Finally, the perfect moment came. The HOA scheduled a mandatory meeting to discuss disciplinary measures against our ranch. We received the invitation hand-delivered, bold print, and all. Grandpa folded it neatly. "Guess it's time to attend their little get-together," he said, eyes twinkling. The meeting took place in the HOA clubhouse, a fancy hall with chandeliers that looked borrowed from a hotel. Every seat was filled with polished shoes and crossed arms. Linda stood at the podium, voice sugary sweet. "We appreciate everyone's attendance as we resolve ongoing boundary concerns with our neighboring ranch." Grandpa and I walked in late, boots thudding against their marble floor. Heads turned. Someone whispered, "That's them." Linda cleared her throat. "Mr. Carter, before we proceed, about the access road." Grandpa held up a folded document. "You mean my road?" The room went silent. He spread out the new deed on the table. County seal. Signatures. Effective immediately, the entire entrance street, from the main gate to the cul-de-sac, belonged to Carter Ranch LLC. Mark, the lawyer husband, snatched the paper. "This can't be valid, this road is community property." Grandpa tapped the seal. "You should have paid your lien, son." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. One man actually laughed out loud before covering his mouth. Linda's face turned red. "You can't restrict residents' access." Grandpa shrugged. "Course not. I'm a fair man. Access will continue for a small maintenance fee. Triple your current HOA dues should cover it." The room exploded. People shouted, chairs scraped. Grandpa just waited, hands in his pockets, while the chaos spun itself out. Then he said, "Meeting adjourned." The next morning, a new sign appeared at the subdivision entrance, "Private access, authorized vehicles only." Below it, in smaller letters, "Managed by Carter Ranch Road Company." By noon, the HOA office phone rang nonstop. Some pleaded, some threatened. Grandpa simply referred them to his maintenance department, which was just me with a notebook. Within a week, every resident had paid the new fee. Even Linda. She mailed the check with a note, under protest. Grandpa framed it. That Friday, he drove his tractor down their spotless street, waving to everyone mowing their perfect lawns. "Funny thing," he said to me, "own a road, and suddenly folks remember their manners." The HOA tried to fight back, of course. They called emergency meetings, hired a new lawyer, even petitioned the county to reverse the sale. But the paperwork was airtight. Their own negligence had sealed it. Linda eventually stepped down for health reasons. Mark stopped waving at anyone. A new board took over, people who actually smiled when they saw Grandpa at the feed store. The gate across our ranch road? Removed within a week. The posts now supported flower boxes. We even left the hinges as a reminder. One afternoon a few months later, a young family from the subdivision brought cookies to thank us. "You saved everyone a fortune in bad management," the husband said. Grandpa chuckled. "Didn't save it. Just redirected it." Life returned to quiet normal. Cattle grazed. Kids fished in the creek again. Every now and then, a new neighbor would stop by to ask if the old stories about Grandpa owning the street were true. He'd grin and say, "Depends who's asking, a driver or walker." One evening, as the sun dipped low and turned the road gold, Grandpa leaned on the fence and said, "Funny thing about power, people think it's noise and rules. But real power's quiet. It's owning the ground under their feet." I nodded, watching headlights roll down our road toward the gated community that no longer gated anyone. Grandpa smiled softly. "They blocked our gate to control us. We bought their street to teach respect. Always cheaper to buy peace than fight pride." The camera would pull back there if this were a movie, creek glinting, hills fading to shadow, a simple sign standing tall at the intersection. Private road, respect goes both ways. Fade out.